Hello, May Flom here, and today I'm going to be sharing 5 things to know about resin crafting before you start, things I wish I had known. The first thing that I wish I had known about working with resin is that there are silicone containers and stir sticks available so that you can reuse and reduce waste, so that when we create with resin, we are not just using disposable and not having a lot of waste. Number 2, there are different kinds of resin. This ice resin is the brand name. Epoxy resin, though, is a 2-part, like I just showed, where you're mixing 2 parts equal together to create the epoxy resin. There is also UV resin, which is a resin that you utilize and then set with a UV light. This is going to be more expensive and better for very small projects where you just need a little bit of resin and a minute or 2 under a light cures it. What color mediums work with resin? Glitters. This is a German glass glitter. This is a mica powder, gold leafing, alcohol inks. There are a lot of options for you as far as what color mediums will work, and whether you mix them in during the process or if you mix it together ahead of time, if you layer it, you have a lot of options with resin. And here you can see this is so much glitter in here. I'll show you another one. You have a lot of options, and I bring this up because if you go to the resin section in the craft store, what you might see are very expensive, very small quantity items, such as little clay embellishments or color pigments. Remember that you can use a lot of stuff with resin, and because you can use a lot of stuff, because you can use a lot of things that are general craft, be sure to do your homework. The 4th item today is a simple one. Do your research. There are a lot of different brands of resin out there. There are different types, and some of them work better with different environments, meaning different temperatures, different settings, different ways of curing. And it is important to know what are you working with and how does it best work. So doing a bit of research, that's definitely something I wish I had done more early on. It would have saved me a lot of batches of ruined resin because I was not doing things properly. For example, typically, and it does vary brand to brand, but typically you do not want to try to do resin in extreme cold, or at least not have the room be extremely cold. You also can, and probably should in most cases, you can, in thicker molds or even thin molds, do layers. So you do not have to fill it up all at once like I just did this little lid mold. You can do layers. You can do a bit of resin and add more in later. And finally, I really wish that I had thought more about this. For example, it could hold tea light candles and is a mold. And that's lovely, but I've made one and I'm done. I wish truly that I had slowed down when I started getting into resin crafting and really asked myself and investigated what kinds of molds are the most useful to me and to my crafting. So for example, these little tiny Mickey heads, those are fantastic for me because I make ornaments, I make keychains, I make pendants, I make all kinds of fun stuff for my friends and family with those molds. So those are really good choices for me. And likewise, this nice big one I use primarily as an ornament mold, so I can make different ornaments with this. So it is a very useful mold. On the other hand, as I said, the tea light, or I have a little HP for Harry Potter little mold here. Well, what am I really doing here with this mold? Not a whole lot. I've used it once and that was that. there's not a whole lot of use for that here. So keeping in mind, what am I making? What am I actually doing here with this mold is a very important part of the process. I hope that you have found this video helpful. If you have any questions about anything to do with resin crafting, or if you have suggestions, maybe you use different brands or you suggest different things, I would love to hear about it. There's certainly a lot of things you can do. I tend to stick in the shallow end, meaning I don't get into the really thick, deep, very, very expensive resin things that you could do. But that is out there. That is available to those interested. And there is a whole world of crafting here. My last tip to you is to remember I'm sitting at an open window here and with a glove on my working hand. You always, there goes Elsa. You always want to be very aware of where you're working and if your working space is appropriate and well ventilated for this or any kind of craft. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next time.